and like this video. And for everyone in the world, please turn on my toast notifications. Yeah, turn on my toast notifications so you can be notified anytime that I make toast, okay? Wow. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, thanks so much for coming. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you do. Also, if you're not new here and you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. And for everyone else who is watching this video, new or old, turn on my post notifications so that you can be notified anytime that I make a new video. So let's get into the rest of this series. As you can tell by the title, it says, am I wasting my life? Is my life a waste? So today we're talking about how we can tell if our life is being wasted or if our life is being used purposefully. So you may be wondering how that can tie into the book of Esther. Well, as I was reading through chapter 7, which is the chapter that we're in today, I was really just feeling the Lord telling me that I needed to talk about wasting life as we see what happens to Haman and as we kind of get to evaluate his life a little bit and compare it to our own. So let's go ahead and get started with a really quick recap of last week's video. So pretty much the king, he was going through a rough patch. He wanted the chronicles read to him. He found out, again, was reminded that Mordecai exposed an assassination plot against him, and so he honored Mordecai, but Haman was the one who had to do it. So we kind of see Haman is kind of in a bad spot right now, and Mordecai and really Esther, they're in good spots. But as the chapter ended, we saw that the king and Haman were ready to go to Esther's banquet. So this is where we pick up. Chapter 7 verse 1 says, so the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet, and as they were drinking wine on the second day, the king asked Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be given to you. What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. Then Queen Esther answered, if I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition, and spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet, because no such distress would justify disturbing the king. King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, who is he? Where is he, the man who has dared to do such a thing? And Esther said, an adversary, an enemy, this vile Haman. So we have finally come to the point in the book of Esther where Esther has made her request and her petition known to the king. She says to him, grant me my life. And in a way, she's subtly telling the king that she is Jewish, because the king just signed a decree to allow Haman to go out and let all these people just kill the Jews for no other apparent reason besides the fact that Haman was upset and he hated Mordecai and he hated the Jews. So Esther finally has come before the king, and she has obeyed the Lord, and she has lived in the moment that she was born to live in. She has asked the king for this petition, and she has called out Haman, because Haman is the one who caused all of this mess. So we continue in verse 6. It says, then Haman was terrified before the king and queen. The king got up in a rage, left his wine, and went out into the palace garden. But Haman, realizing that the king had already decided his fate, stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. Just as the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. The king exclaimed, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house? As soon as the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs attending the king, said, a pole reaching to a height of 50 cubits stands by Haman's house. He had it set up for Mordecai, who spoke up to help the king. The king said, impale him on it. So they impaled Haman on the pole he had set up for Mordecai. Then the king's fury subsided. So this chapter is action-packed. We have Queen Esther calling out Haman. We have Haman going and realizing his fate and sitting by Esther and kind of begging her for his life. And then the king comes back in and he sees Haman in this compromising position, and he says, wow, you were even going to molest my queen as I am gone. It kind of, was a bad picture. And even though that wasn't what Haman was doing, that's what appeared to as the king had seen it. And basically the king's like, you know what, like, you're dead. And so he takes him, and one of the eunuchs says, you know what, Haman actually set up a pole that he planned for Mordecai to die on, but Mordecai actually spoke up for you. So what do you want to do with that? And then the king's like, you know what, impale Haman on that pole. So we see that Haman really created his own demise. He set up that pole for Mordecai, and he was the one who ended up being impaled on it. So I really want to focus on Haman's life, and I want to focus on why his life was there. What was the purpose of his life truly? Did he do anything to impact the world? Did he do anything to help others? By the looks of the book, he didn't. He was just a prideful man who only cared about himself, and he would do anything and everything that it took for him to satisfy himself, and even if that meant hurting people in the process. So I want to talk about life, and I want to talk about how we as humans have a life that is so precious, that is so real. It is so beautiful that we get to live and we get to make our own decisions and we get to go out and do the things that we want to do. But what I want to challenge you and what I want to pose to you is, are you doing things that are worthwhile, or are you doing things that are wasting your time? And not only wasting your time, but wasting the life that God has given you on this earth. I want to relate this to John chapter 15 verses 5 and 6, because Jesus says something so powerful to his disciples that I think we need to absolutely pay attention to in order to tell if we truly are living this life as we're supposed to, or if we're going to be a tragedy just like Haman was. So let's go to John chapter 15, 5 and 6. It says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. So we see that Jesus makes it so specifically clear by using an illustration of a vine and branches to his disciples. He is the vine and we are the branches. If you are in the vine, if you are abiding in the vine, if you're remaining in the vine, then you can bear fruit. You can actually be useful. You can be doing the purpose that you were made to do. A vine and branches are supposed to bear fruit. As we, humans, we are supposed to be abiding in Jesus, because it says in verse 5, if we don't, then we can do nothing. And as we can tell from Haman, he was not abiding in Jesus. And you could probably say, well, how would you know that? I mean, besides the fact that he was trying to kill people, it also says in Matthew 12:30, whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. So Jesus makes it so abundantly clear that if we are not with him, then we are against him. And if you are not with him, abiding in him, you are against him and you are doing absolutely nothing for eternal value. So I would challenge you, look at Haman's life. Look at what he did. He was so caught up on himself and pursuing his own desires that he totally missed out on serving the Lord. He totally missed out on making his life worth something, worth a purpose, worth the plan that God had created him for. God had a plan for him. God wanted him to do things, but he ignored that and he decided to go with his own passions and his own desires. So my challenge to you and my encouragement to you is be very careful about how you're living your life, and definitely pay attention to these scriptures. These are not a joke. This is truth. If you are not abiding in Jesus, then you are wasting your life, and that is harsh, but it's true. So keep that in mind and stay strong, because it is hard to live this life constantly abiding in Jesus, but that's exactly why we have to be abiding in him, so that he can strengthen us and encourage us and help us to continue to live for him. Because if you look at Haman's life, it was a tragedy. He did nothing for the kingdom of God, and he died really a horrible death for no reason. And his life was a waste. And I don't want your life to be a waste. I don't want my life to be a waste. So my encouragement, abide in Jesus. Remember that if you are not for him, you are against him. And if you are against him right now, find him and be for him and abide in him, so that you can bear fruit and that your life can be the purpose that God created your life to be. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that even though it's a little harsh and even though it's very sad to see life as a tragedy sometimes, it is the truth. And I hope that you can receive encouragement from that. Comment down below anything that you maybe disagree with or agree with, or something that you want to discuss. I would love to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. Be blessed, and hasta luego.